Welcome to the wonderful world of Ghastly. Today on the show, I'm interviewing my friend Andrew, and I'm going to allow him to introduce himself. I call him the Polish Prince.
Hi everyone, it's Andrzej Jan Lamkiewicz.
Lamkiewicz.
Yeah, and a few years ago I recorded some Polish rap, and ever since everyone calls me the Polish Prince. But we can shorten it, just Prince is fine.
Prince, let me ask you about that music. Is there any way that people can find it online so they could have a look at it?
Yeah, you'd have to know how to spell in Polish. Kocham ci psia krew means I love you, dog's blood, because I put a whole bunch of Polish curses into the lyrics. And the band is Andrzej, Gregor, and Martian.
Beautiful.
Have fun.
Those are all hard to spell. But you've been one of my friends, one of my dearest friends for a long time, and it's such an honor to have you come on the show today. And we could talk about your writing and many other things that interest you personally.
Awesome.
Andrew is an author, and some of his work is like blew my mind. Like I had to put it down and go, holy moly! Like that's like some intense stuff, right? and so I'm curious what you have to say, where you get your inspiration, some of that information.
Well, I just finished writing 35 short stories, and I've done it over a 2-year period. But the inspiration, unfortunately, is a bit of a sad one. November 2023, my eldest daughter, Shannon, told me she had terminal cancer, and doctors had given her a few months to live. And my very first reaction was intense anger. I was furious at all of the deities. But strangely enough, I started getting all these weird ideas in my head. So I started typing on my computer, and I started writing stories. Yeah.
That's beautiful. So, is there a particular favorite story or some of the themes you'd like to discuss?
Well, yeah, the first few stories were quite graphic, violent horror. And that was my anger stage. And once I got that out, the first half dozen were pretty violent. I really started softening up. And what's ended up being my favorite short story is called Mother Goddess. And I dedicated that to my daughter, and I call the Mother Goddess Shannon in the story.
That's beautiful. I personally have a connection to goddess ideology. Like that's something I've sought out throughout my life, because in mainstream religions in the West, the goddess is sort of diminished. And I think it's brilliant that you took inspiration from a woman that you loved, your daughter, and to interpret that into a story. Is there any tidbits of the story you care to share? Or?
Well, yeah, basically Mother Goddess is in the center of the universe in her heavenly abode, and she's been sleeping for millennia, and she wakes up and she's curious if any of the seeding she did through panspermia has created life. So she hops into her asteroid, programs multiple destinations, ends up in the Milky Way, the third planet from the sun, and it's Earth. And she zooms in and she sees that there's been a nuclear holocaust, and the only survivors are remote indigenous tribes whose shamans for centuries have been predicting the sixth extinction by fire and coaching them to eat certain plants that would protect them from the fallout of the radiation.
That's really, really complex and extremely like well put together. Like that all the things that you just said painted pictures in my brain, like from an asteroid where she's traveling to finding the Earth after a like it's. I don't know. That's really cool imagery. Is there any other ones you'd care to talk about?
Another one of my favorite is called Wild Speak. And instead of Dr. Doolittle, I created a French biologist that is Dr. Do a Lot. And he goes into the woods with a camera and a sound recorder, and he records all of the sounds. So when a creature makes a sound, he waits for any responses, and he starts making up a vocabulary. So he can now talk to chipmunks, squirrels, porcupines, and he finds that many of them have mental illnesses.
Oh, wow.
So he starts prescribing natural remedies for all sorts of ailments.
Oh, cool. I wish he would be a real person and help humanity with our mental illnesses. Anything else you'd like to tell us about?
Well, one of the characters is a porcupine that has multiple personality disorder, and the doctor starts him microdosing shrooms.
Oh, wow.
So I thought that was kind of cool to put in.
I wonder, like, have you ever heard the theory that apes once, like, ate mushrooms and developed consciousness, and that's how humans evolved or something?
I actually just read a great book on fungus called Entangled Life by Merlin Sheldrake. If any of you want to look it up, it's a brilliant read. And he suggests that going back millennia, mushrooms were ingested.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Woo!
In one of our previous discussions, we were talking about not only the possibility of other life forms, but UFOs visiting our planet. And it got me thinking this morning about the Bermuda Triangle.
Oh.
What do you think that is?
I think that it's some sort of a portal to other dimensions or realities, but it's not always on. It's intermittent. So that's why through history, different planes and ships have disappeared at different times, and at other times they haven't.
Right.
So it's a portal.
Okay. I think that in strange places all around, there's all kinds of portals, like other dimensions. There's doorways hidden in forests, and I think that even like there's the possibility that we've built cities and things right in the middle of portals. Unexplained things happen, or particularly like some nefarious things, or even very, very positive things. Like knowing that we both live in the same terrain, I have a philosophy about this neighborhood. I'm going to ask you what your opinion on ley lines and the hill full of temples up the street. The original pathway of the indigenous people that were here originally was the street right outside my house.
Wow.
And then the next one was the Shamong path that goes up to Bridge North. that was originally used as a portage because the river was so rough. And I feel that this house that I'm in intersects with some of the ley lines because I had this amazing experience here. I was just wondering if you've had any experiences in Peterborough, because I think there's portals or a vortex or some kind of natural energy in Peterborough, Ontario. What is your thoughts?
Well, one of my theories is where the ley lines meet, that is where the lightning gathers, that ignites our divine spark and gives us spiritual and metaphysical insights. And if you are fortunate enough to be residing where the ley lines meet, you're probably going to experience some magic in your life at some point or other.
I think that's a beautiful sentiment and well said. I truly believe that there is an energy in this area. The Keene, which is like a 10-minute drive from here, there's the Serpent Mound, which points to the summer solstice. It points directly to the summer solstice. And that kind of mathematics in ancient people and the fact that, like Stonehenge or some of the other great serpent mounds in the world, like the one in Ohio, is particularly amazing. What do you think that was going on thousands of years ago that led the people to build such a mathematically correct, geographically mindful piece of a history that we have in our town?
Well, I think that going way back, that Indigenous people in general have been really underestimated. They have had knowledge for centuries that we are only beginning to learn about now. How did they know these things? The math, the calendars, the directions, spiritual energies. Like in Indigenous culture, everything has a spirit. Trees, rivers, mountains. And I think when they built the mounds, they were some sort of a tribute to the land. And the people were connected to that energy.
I
and
think
that was an expression of it.
Incidentally, it's right beside also a beautiful lake, Rice Lake, where to this day people gather natural rice there.
Yeah.
And we live in a pocket of Ontario that is just so unique culturally as well. What are your thoughts on the amount of celebrities that have originated or reside in Peterborough?
Wow. Well, Neil Young is from Omemee, so him and Daryl Hannah have been seen in the area. Dolores O'Riordan from the Cranberries had a cottage, I believe Stony Lake, something like that. Ronnie Hawkins lived here, who mentored so many bands and musicians. There is some kind of an energy that draws people to this area. Woo!
Welcome back to the wonderful world of Ghastly. I'm with my friend Andrew, the Prince, the Polish Prince. And I have a question for you. You grew up at one of the most culturally significant times. Your coming of age story, your origin story as how you became an author, and like growing up during the time when the Beatles, Elvis, you were alive for at different times in your life, these cultural events that happened, and you were a part of them. you were there.
Big time. I remember being 8 years old, and I was on an ocean liner coming from Scotland across the Atlantic Ocean to Halifax. And on the 5th floor of the ocean liner is where the teenage kids hung out. And I was 8, but I went up and joined them. And the big argument was, who's better, the Beatles or the Stones? That was one of the very first huge rivalries. And me, not wanting to be mainstream, always trying to be different, I liked the Beatles and Stones, but my favorite band was the Dave Clark Five.
That's cool, man. So you were stepping to your own beat, like stepping in your own rhythm right off the bat.
Oh, yeah.
Which has been a characteristic of yours throughout life.
Yeah.
Wow, like you must have seen plenty of concerts.
I have been to probably hundreds and hundreds of shows. I've seen Prince twice. I've seen David Bowie 3 times. And the 3rd time I saw him, I was at the back of the crowd and I went, "Excuse me, pardon me, excuse me," and everyone parted for me. And I made my way up to the stage. I had my chest against the stage and David Bowie was like 2 feet away from me. I could have grabbed his ankle. And I watched the whole concert from there. 3 hours, 2 1.5 hour sets.
Amazing.
What a magic man.
What a magic person. And to have that experience is a real treasure. I never had a chance to see him myself.
Now, a lot of the bands that I liked, I had to hide from my friends. Because if they found out that I loved, for example, the Partridge Family, I would be laughed at and teased. So I was in the closet with a lot of the music I liked.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I like bubblegum pop. Like it's got a magical quality and an innocence all of its own.
Big time. And then I remember in the 70s when the whole punk scene erupted. Oh my God, I love punk. And back then I was so taken with it. I had 4 piercings in my ear and I put safety pins instead of earrings. So I had 4 safety pins coming down my earlobe. And I grabbed scissors. I slashed all my t-shirts. And I did the punk thing for about 10 years.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I also did the punk thing 10 years after you. I did it in the 80s. We had a different style, though. Like, we were a little bit more aggressive, I guess.
Oh, big time. Like
Yeah.
Dead Kennedys and
Yeah.
bands like that. Deftones, Misfits.
Yeah, man. The Deftones were in the 90s. I liked them, too. In the 80s, though, we took acid with kind of giggled at the ideology of the hippies.
Yeah.
So, the society had just gotten so gross, right? And we're like, what the fuck? Like, is this? And so when we were experiencing all that stuff, we're a little bit more angry.
Well, within me, because of all of the decades and different genres that I've been exposed to and witnessed and listened to, I encapsulate all genres. I love everything now. The only things I'm not too crazy about, I'm not into bluegrass very much. Fiddle and banjo drives me nuts. Classical opera, not too crazy about. I like contemporary opera, like Sarah Brightman. And I don't like new country. New country isn't country anymore.
No.
If I want to listen to country, I want Johnny Cash, Patsy Cline, people like that. Whoo!
When you were a child, you were raised in a sort of specific spiritual format, and
Oh,
at
yeah.
some point in your life, you decided what?
Well, I was born Catholic. I've been baptized and all that stuff. My dad made me go to church every Sunday, but he wouldn't go with my brother and I. And what I would do would be go to either the Kiwanis Club, where I could play pool, or go to the woodworking shop, and I'd hang out in there for an hour, and then I'd go running back to the church and get the pamphlet that they hand out at the door as you're leaving, and I would take that home and show my dad the pamphlet so he could see that I'd been to church, and he'd ask me, "Oh, what was the sermon about?" And I'd come up with any cockamamie idea that I could come up with.
Right.
Yeah.
So
So I played hooky.
yeah, that sounds a lot familiar. When you reached what age did you start to seek other ideas?
Well, okay, long story short, my mom passed when I was 2. So I was raised by my father, who had extreme PTSD, and he was very violent. And he passed when I was 15. And I thought, if there is a God, why am I being punished so much? And I became really curious, and I started reading every spiritual book of all of the other faiths that I could. So I read the Torah, the Bhagavad Gita, I read the Quran, Way of the Sufi, I read extensively about Buddhism, and that knowledge pulled me away from Christianity, and it showed me a more diverse, beautiful perspective towards life and spirituality that wasn't about this old gray-haired guy with a beard sitting on a throne in the clouds.
Right.
So personally, I think most religions, to me, I look at them as mythology, not as reality.
Right. So I know you to be a very fine person, a good man.
Thank you.
And I know you are. And one of the beautiful things about you is the way you conduct yourself with other human beings is just so thoughtful and peaceful. And one of the beautiful things that you've always done, and has become part of our community, is you offer blessings as you're parting ways with people. and it's become contagious.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to commend you on your beauty.
I give everyone blessings, and you're right, people are picking it up. I've got all sorts of other people saying, "Oh, blessings, blessings." It's just a cool thing.
That's lovely. Well, we've got we can do this anytime and do it again. And I really recommend that anyone who can get a hold of that video with his music to check out the Polish Prince. We may suggest, maybe I could put it on here.
That's an idea. Yeah.
What if would you have to get permission from the other guys?
Not at all. It's my song. I wrote the song. I wrote the lyrics. I do the vocals. The video is 2 of me actually dancing. I somehow got superimposed. Great video, great song. I'd love to share it.
Kocham cię. Kocham cię. Kocham cię. Kocham cię.
trafił. Jeszcze raz. Proszę bardzo. Jaka cholera. Szlak cię trafił. Jeszcze raz. Proszę bardzo. Jaka cholera. Szlak cię trafił. Jeszcze raz. Proszę bardzo. Jaka cholera. Szlak cię trafił.
Ja Ciebie bardzo lubię, ja Ciebie bardzo kocham.
Piwo, palić zielone. Ja lubię tańczyć, jak chcę się ruszać. Ja lubię piwo, palić zielone. Ja lubię tańczyć, jak chcę się ruszać. Ja lubię piwo, palić zielone. Ja lubię tańczyć, jak chcę się ruszać. Ja lubię piwo, palić zielone. Ja lubię tańczyć, jak chcę się ruszać. Ja lubię piwo, palić zielone. Ja lubię tańczyć, jak chcę się ruszać. Ja lubię piwo, palić zielone. Ja lubię tańczyć, jak chcę się ruszać. Raz, proszę bardzo, jaka cholera, szlak cię trafił. Jeszcze raz, proszę bardzo, jaka cholera, szlak cię trafił.
Ja Ciebie bardzo lubię, ja Ciebie bardzo kocham.
Jaka cholera, szlak cię trafił. Jaka cholera, szlak cię trafił. Jaka cholera, szlak ci 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 trafił. I like that.
Well, Andrew, it's been a pleasure to talk with you today, and we'll do this again, I'm sure.
Blessings, Ghastly. Blessings to all of us. Peace,
Peace. Come back again.
love, joy, and abundance.